Hey everyone, Landon here with the making of Highlanders, the music and video. So this one was a pretty fun one to make. It starts here with sheet music using Sibelius. It features some traditional Scottish instruments such as bagpipe, tambourine. The bodhran is a Celtic drum that is often used in Scottish music. We're using an upright bass, and for the string section I wanted to use viola instead of the violin for more of that deeper body sound. And on top we're using piccolo. And so with these instruments I try to create a vision of Scotland, Celtic Scotland. And with these images we try to do that even further. So I knew in the beginning there was going to be some tambourine on the screen, just a tambourine, maybe some hands shaking the tambourine. As you can see, it's not shaking. I described it as hands shaking a tambourine fast. But yes, all these early shots did not get used because they failed to shake the tambourine. I did end up kind of getting the results later on through slow motion. I got some shots and then I slowed them down. So using slow motion in this video helped with some of the shots. Definitely a lot more slow motion than other videos. So I knew the drummers were going to be layering on top of each other in the beginning. Starting with this guy, I saw this image and I knew that this was going to be the direction of the intro. And just trying to get faces that really stood out, even though this guy's wearing a sweater. He's still depicting a face of some kind of emotion. So that's really what we're going for, is emotional looking shots. You know, not many of these made it in because it's very uniform, a little too vivid. But I do believe this one made it in, at least. So we're just trying to get our band shots is really important. And then landscape shots. In the beginning I was getting stuck with kind of these digital ones, and I thought that's maybe what I was going to be using. But I did end up replacing them with much more realistic looking ones, even though this cow one was kind of nice, but the cow was throwing it off. I got a footage here of Highlanders with kilts walking in the Highlands with their bagpipes put away, but this shot wasn't quite good enough, so I tried to regenerate it a few times, and I did end up getting one of the shots that went in, and it's one of my favorites. The spinning angle, it's pretty nice. So sometimes just taking an image and trying to regenerate is the key. For the guitar player, I just wanted him for a couple seconds. I was trying to get him playing something accurate. I was trying to have him do an E boogie because an E major boogie would have probably given me notes that were somewhat correct, but he's using a capo and he's not in the key of E. So we went with the guy who's finger plucking, closest thing to it. So these are those shots I was telling you that I ended up getting tambourines shaking somewhat, but putting them in slow motion made it not weird at all. So there's nothing silly about it when it's in slow motion. But as you can see, a lot of people didn't make it in. Overall, though, this was a lot easier than my other projects because DeepAI does like to do photorealistic shots more than animated ones. So this ended up being about maybe 300 or 400 generations, but the last ones were like 600-700 up to 1,000 for the other ones. So this one was a little bit easier. I started layering on the violin players. One of the first ones I got was this guy, and he's actually one of my favorite characters. Just kind of his face, I guess. I don't know. It's a good character. And so he ends up coming back. I took that shot, and I got a close-up of him later on. And so this is where I had to try to describe the piccolo to the AI, because it didn't really understand piccolo. It knows flutes, but it doesn't know piccolos. So it's giving me very weird-looking things. I did end up having to describe it. It's straight in shape. It's played sideways, you know, but then it's giving me flutes. So we did end up using flutes in the final shots, but it's okay because the notes that are being played are consistent with a flute in these parts. When the solo comes in later, I ended up finally getting my piccolo player, and so that worked out nicely. So these faces were just memorable, so I used them and brought them back later too. And this is where I was trying to get group shots, but I was getting bystanders in the background, and the key here is to try to take you out of reality, not to bring you back in. So I didn't like having people like watching the band. The whole thing is supposed to be the band. So many of these shots, and they're also very uniform, so I tried to describe them more sparsely. As I progressed, I got more details and ended up using, this one was an early one though that was usable. That's me generating this guy again to get more shots of him. And so this is where I got landscape shots that were significantly better than my first ones, and so I immediately went back and started replacing shots with better ones. And this guy here, definitely what I'm trying to go for is he's turning his eyes to the screen, he makes eye contact, and those are very impactful shots. So anything that resembles something like that, it was all going to make it into the video. This guy made it in. This was the original shot, and I tried to regenerate him just to see if I can get something better, and it was worse. So, and that's usually what happens when you generate something. There's a high chance it's going to animate it more. It's going to give it more movement than it needs. So the original shot sometimes is better. So I just tried to layer on the violinists, get them not just that one violin player, but make it more like a band. It's a big band, you know. So I like this shot a lot, the aerial, the wind. So we got to our dancers here, and all of these shots I had to put in slow motion. That's not one of them, but I had to put all these shots into slow motion so that they ended up going with the music better. So this part ended up turning out very well, but it's only because they ended up in slow motion. Some of them he's just jumping up and down, so that's not one of them. But a lot of these made it in because so we took the shot here, we used that shot, and I think it was this one. So just slow motion shots of these feet was really impactful, and they don't have to be on beat because it's more of an impact thing. So I did try to get river dancing, but they kind of took the river dancing too seriously here, quite literally. But the closest thing to river dancing was already kind of here anyway. It's the best kind of river dancing you're probably going to get. So now we're leading up to our piccolo solo. I pictured him doing something weird, maybe in a tree or just up somewhere where you're not going to see a person ever be. This is the part of the video it's supposed to be unrealistic, and that is what I envisioned, some piccolo player doing some silly thing. This was the very first shot that I got, and I'm like, no. But I ended up getting this guy who slowly he kind of changed over time, but not really. He still kept the same look, so it really is generally the same guy. Because I generated them close to each other, I didn't have to take the image and regenerate it. I just got to regenerate, and it created the same guy. So that was very useful to get multiple shots of different things with the same character. That's very hard to do in AI. So that's where we got all this. And then towards the end, it really is just trying to fill in the blanks, fix shots that were missing. This guy ended up going in the beginning. Just had a very cinematic appeal to it. So I fill in the blanks, you know, for the rest of it. Try to get those, hope to get more shots at least. Like, why didn't this guy make it in? He just didn't have time, I guess. But there was a lot of useful stuff. And we all take that into Animoto, and we put the shots in. We only used 66. And there's definitely more. The ones that are saved here are just the ones that I saved to my computer, and there's even more shots here than I used in the actual video. But yeah, putting them in is the fun part. That's definitely where it all comes together. This is where you become an editor. You really are the the video maker from this. So that is how Highlanders video was made. What I'd like to do, if you'd like to hear some of the song itself coming from Sibelius, it is nice to hear Sibelius's version of playing it. The only thing is it does skip beats. It's not as fluid as the actual song itself. When you convert it to MP3 and you do some things to it, it turns out much more professional. But this is just a little snippet of it coming from Sibelius. This is the tambourine introduction, which I was very afraid was going to make people lose interest early. just a little snippet of it. So I do intend to be doing a lot more of this. I have a new video in the works. It's going to be exciting, and look forward to new content coming, and subscribe if you haven't. You're going to see more cool stuff. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.